Title of this video this week is You Are the Problem. And before you get too upset, let me tell you that if you are the type of person who blames other people for the problems you're experiencing, which is exceptionally common, victim mentality, we'll call it, whether that's your board, your VA, the prospect, the circumstances, your circumstances, then this is going to make you uncomfortable. Because most of the time, we are where we are exactly because of the actions we took or didn't take. That's just the truth. So let's talk about that. And let's talk about how we can get better at managing that situation and those around us so that to a lesser degree, we are not the problem. And let me be clear that I'm not talking about somebody else. I'm talking about all of us, including myself. So, I am not a control freak in most things. I enjoy delegating. I delegate well. I've learned that over a period of time. I very much understand that I am not the best at everything. And if I can find the people that are better than me to do the job and me concentrate on the things that I can do well, that's a better team and that's a better outcome. And recently we had an experience where in the VIP Mastermind where someone had lost their board, someone had then lost their VA. And in my opinion, both of those were that they didn't address the issues in terms of how to manage the board and how to manage the VA. They didn't see it that way. And it was one of the longer exchanges and most heated exchanges that I've had with a mentee to say, let's take a look at the situation. Let's talk about the things you did or didn't do. And we went through the things that he should have explained to the board members that he didn't so that they understood the expectations and what they were going to do, rather than they assuming all they did was sit in a boardroom and approve due diligence rather than have anything to do with due diligence, et cetera, et cetera. And then we talked about the VA. And a lot of people get upset with a lot of people because they say, well, I asked them to do something and they didn't do it in the time frame that I expected. Okay. Did you communicate the time frame you expected? Did you say to them, this is what needs to be done? Can you help me? Hopefully the answer is yes. If the answer is an employee, yeah, it's going to be a yes. If it's a board member, probably a yes, if it's the right board member. And so this is what we need to do. If you can help me, that would be great. And I'd like to get this done by next Tuesday. Is that possible? And you'll get an answer yes, or you might get an answer no. Okay. So if we need to get it done by next Tuesday, what would we need to do? What resources would you need that I need to provide so that we can get that done? So you have that discussion. And when you have, for instance, a meeting, and you're going to have a lot of to-dos from a meeting, high performance people understand how to handle those actions from the meeting such that they get done. And the way that is, you obviously need an action. You need one person typically. If it's more than one person, then the one person thinks the other one did it. And then you need a date when it's going to be completed. And so action, responsible person, date. But then you need to do something else. You need to make sure that they understand if you cannot complete it. Maybe there's a manufacturer that's factory blew up and it impacts what you're going to do. Don't just let the date go by. Come back and say, here's a situation. We need to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe that is what we need to do. At least you've made a suggestion. And if it's something that just can't be remedied in the time frame, say, okay, here's the situation. What do we need to do? How do we need to fix it? What's it going to affect in terms of the timetable? Who do we need to advise if other people are expecting this to be done by a date and to go through that thing? When high performance people behave like that, they end up also instilling a culture where it's not okay to miss timelines and just let them pass. If that's going to happen, let's talk about it. Let's give us the time to fix that problem before the timeline expires. And so if you take nothing more than that away from this, that's how you get people to accomplish things. But understand, all of that started with you. All of that started with how you set expectations, how you set up the system, and then did you enforce those things? One of the things that I learned in dealing with people was that I didn't need to tell them if they screwed up. I would say to them, obviously that didn't go well. Next time, what would you do differently? That gave them some credit for having a brain. That gave them not screaming at them to get something done. And they began to think, okay, this person, he understands I screwed up. I understand I screwed up. We talked about next time. That's how you build better people. That's how you build executives. Yes, you could fire them instantly for that. But as Napoleon Hill once said when he was interviewing someone and there was an incident at dinner, and he said to the person, well, why didn't you just fire him? And he said, I wanted him to come to a conclusion, and I would have ruined a good executive if I did that. And that's certainly true. When you point the finger at someone else, there's an old parable that says when you point a finger at somebody else, 3 fingers and a thumb are pointing back at you. And so I would highly encourage you to be cognizant of if you are using a victim mentality. Own your circumstances, own the situations that you have, and make sure that as you go through this business acquisition process, you learn how to make better decisions. You learn how to make people accountable. If the person is not the right person after you've tried to correct it, yes, move on. We hold on to people who are a problem far too long. But first, try to correct that situation. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, next with that person, next with board members, next particularly with acquisitions. So I hope that helps to better understand. We all have had, myself included, situations where we say, well, that person did this. May be true. But what did I do in that circumstance to get to a better result, to not have had that circumstance? So the more you can take these things on yourself, the more you can take responsibility. People will notice, your team will notice, they'll respect how you treat them, and your outcomes and the growth of your team and the success of business acquisitions will be much, much better.